One. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient. Been dealing with cancer since 2021 and doing absolutely fantastic. I made a video a few videos ago about a huge move from California to Texas, as well as my daughter just had our first grandchild at the end of October. So we're really, really happy and thrilled with everything that's going on. And, I'll keep giving you updates as to what's happening in my life. But I am so, so excited today because I have a kindred spirit. Her name is Julia Fox Garrison. So at this time, I'd like to bring Julia on. Julia, please
Hi, everybody. Hi.
introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi. I'm Julia Fox Garrison, and I suffered a massive stroke in 97, 26 years ago. And I live with deficits from that. And that caused me to write a book, actually, about my recovery. It's a 4-year window. And then I had double vision in 2013 and 14 for 14 months. Turned out it was a bruised optic nerve, but we didn't know, and was diagnosed with all kinds of things. And now I'm overcoming, I call it Cindy. I think it's such an insidious disease that saying Cindy gives it power, but I was diagnosed with Cindy stomach cancer in March of 22. And I was, once again, just like the stroke, I had been given no hope. My prognosis was extremely poor. In fact, one of the doctors said, don't even ask me how long you're going to live, because you don't want to hear. And then after
Wow.
I got over the stunning response of just the somber and I mean, such a horrible thing to be diagnosed with. And once you've been diagnosed with it, it can be consuming. And I decided, I just like the stroke, I was not going to let it take over me. I was going to drive my own life. And once I got past the shock and the numbness of another battle, I just employed all the things I did with stroke. I said, first I told the doctor, one, you don't know who you're talking to and what I'm capable of. And you have no right to give me a termination date. That is left up to God and no one else. And my termination is, I always say, I was on a radio program once and someone said, "Hey, are you 100%?" And I was like, "Are you?" And the reason I said that was because I'm not 100% until I'm in my grave. So I believe that we're always putting our pieces of our lives together, and we're constantly evolving. And I refuse to. I'm a speaker and an author. I actually wrote a book called "Don't Leave Me This Way," or "When I Get Back on My Feet, You'll Be Sorry," and that was based on my 4-year stroke recovery. And it's very acerbic and funny, and not maudlin or a blow-by-blow recovery story. It's actually very empowering, and it empowers others to work harder in their recoveries. And now I'm working on my non-compliant life, which is about of many things, because I grew up with 8 brothers and no sisters. And actually, Barnes and Noble, my book's been on the bestseller a couple times, and my Barnes and Noble asked me to write about the brothers and growing up with what that experience was. Well, I believe it was to build strength for what I was to face later in my life. And my as I said, I don't just take everything that's said to me by a doctor as face value. And luckily, it has saved my life more than once. With the stroke, I was diagnosed with a cerebral vasculitis, which I didn't have. And the way I would have, I should have just done nothing, just let myself and my brain heal. Same with the double vision. I was diagnosed with the ocular myasthenia gravis disease. I did not have that. I had a bruised optic nerve that took 14 months to heal. Because of the Cindy, I hope you get used to me saying that. I even have the doctor saying it now. It's pretty funny. The Cindy is so innocuous, and like with stroke, you can see what you have to do. You can see that I'm paralyzed on my left side. I have hemiparesis, and you can see the things that I need to work on. But with cancer, you cannot see it. It's just this inside you, and you need to find a way to let it not consume you. So I always felt, one of my beliefs is never to say why me, and I know that's a gift from God, because most people do say why me when they're faced with hardship. Adversity happens and knocks at everybody's door, and how we answer it is really how we're going to overcome. And
Can I pause you right there?
absolutely.
I love that. I absolutely love that. When I was diagnosed myself, I thought, why not me? You know, why? I felt like it was something that I was meant to go through. And but in listening to what you have to say, when at what point, or was it before, did you develop this incredible positive attitude? Because that's through all this adversity, did that need to be nurtured and come out, or was it there from the beginning, or how did that happen?
I think I innately had a positive attitude. I think growing up, I was always, I was somewhat of a class clown. I got in trouble for, I was a little bit of a prankster, and I was in my hospital stays as well. I've had very many funny stories of things. But um, I think if you weren't born with it, it's not like I think everybody should be like me. Everybody has a unique path. Everybody has a unique approach to the recovery. I just tried to find humor in the darkness. And that was my coping mechanism. And in fact, when even now, I'm always trying to find something that I can laugh, because laughter really, we use that cliche, laughter is the best medicine. Well, it truly is. When when you laugh, you're releasing endorphins, and you're also connecting with others when you laugh together. It's, smiling is the most basic link to humanity. And and it needs no explanation, or it's universal. I just want to go back to on the why me. I never said why me. I said how, because I'm all about solutions and how to get out of this bed, how to overcome cancer. How am I going to do this? And I don't rely on what the doctors are telling me. I rely on my inner strength, and I tapped into what do I need to do to overcome this. And I started employing different things and reaching out to people like Mark, who's such an expert for what he's gone through. And that's the other thing. Connecting with people is so important when you're going through something hard, and hearing, like, he taught me so much. We just had a conversation, and he taught me so much in that conversation, and I had to take notes. So, just be able to find people to connect with that are going through what you're going through, but trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's it's such a difficult time, when you get that diagnosis, because once you get that diagnosis, you have to deal with not only the cancer, you have to deal with the people around you. You have to deal with so many different things. You have to deal with your doctor. You have to deal with insurance and all of these things. And it just happens just like that. And it's very difficult and very confusing. And, you know, your outlook that you've used is just absolutely fantastic. And I commend you. And I admire people like you, and I embrace people like you. So talk, if you could talk about that, when, because you've gotten three major diagnoses.
I had a roadmap. I did have a roadmap already of going through two other serious health crises. So it was like it was just like, how am I used different strategies with the Cindy versus stroke. This one thing that was so important to me is that I didn't want to be surrounded by maudlin people. And of course, my family were extremely tight. You know, they were all somber. And I've actually lost two brothers to cancer. And we're a very tight family. We kind of act as one. And it's good and bad. We're all up in each other's business too. But you know, the thing for me was I needed to use positivity and humor. And so by doing that, it changes the whole dichotomy by when you do that. Instead of focusing on the sadness and just focusing on what is positive. I am literally, I was just saying to Mark, I celebrate every day like it's my birthday, because it really is. And I feel that it's a whole nother day for a do-over. And it also, you know, we evolve through our interactions throughout the day, so we're always changing. And you know, I always say that hope is the motivator. And I had the first oncologist I had, he was a good man, but I think he'd been burnt out by his, you know, it's probably a very hard job giving out, you know, this dire diagnosis regularly. And I think he had become so much, had built a wall up because he didn't want to connect with me. And I'm all about connecting, and that's part of my recovery. And you know, like my dad had lymphoma, and he had an oncologist that barely talked to him, but he's like, that's fine. Well, that worked for him, but it didn't work for me. And this oncologist asked me, he said, I understand you're uncomfortable with me. And I said, no, I feel comfortable with you. But if we're going to go there, I'd like to say that you're treating me as a cancer cell only, and you're not seeing the multifaceted, unique person that I am, and that I am going to behave and react differently than the person that is sitting in this chair prior to me. So you need to adjust to the other part. I know that you can't understand my positivity, and you don't understand it, but please acknowledge that it will be part of my recovery. Because he, you know, I've been told I've been in denial. I've been told so many times I've been in denial, both with stroke, that I was told I wouldn't live then, and if I did, I wouldn't get out of a wheelchair. Well, hello, I go to the gym now. And you know, the thing is, I believe in a thing called healthy denial, where it helps your brain process what you're going through by choosing to focus on other things. That's very healthy. And if you focus on what you're going through, it's only going to get bigger and magnified, and it can weigh you down. So I started focusing on all the positive things. I'm a speaker. I speak around the country, hopefully motivating, inspire others. But I believe that even during my cancer treatment, with my hair loss and everything, I continued. I didn't tell people when they were inviting me to speak what I was going through. I refused to even. I didn't even discuss it. I'd go in with a wig and act like nothing was wrong with me. And basically that was also energizing for me, because I walk my talk. and I'm teaching strategies of how to stay positive and how do you go through difficulties. And all our difficulties is, everybody here on your show probably isn't just cancer. I mean, there's financial, emotional, there's so many different avenues of hardship. And how do we remain resilient?
Let
How
me
do you stay
pause. Let me
resilient?
pause you right there, because you brought up a point that I love to talk about. I don't talk about it that much on the channel, but advocating for yourself. And that's what you've done. And
Mhm.
I think most people don't know how to advocate for themselves. So can you talk about that, how you developed that in your repertoire?
Well, so that, well, the going through the stroke, that was I was hospitalized for over 3 months, and a very, very, very long brain injury. It's measured in minutia. So I wrote, there's actually in the back of my book, several strategies. There's a letter, an open letter to doctors, and there's an appendix about, do's and don'ts for doctors, not for the patient. But it's also very important for us to realize it's not just the doctors healing you, it's us healing us. And how do we be proactive in that? Well, it's like reaching out to people like Mark, who has been through it and has a vast knowledge, better than, this is the deal, books are great and they educate us, but what makes us wise? Our adversity. And you can choose to be a victim or you can choose to be a survivor. And by connecting with Mark, I mean, he uplifts me. He's like that piñata where it's hanging going, yay, at a party. Because he's beat it and he did it himself. I mean, he literally it teaches the roadmap of how to do it. Now, I'd like to, can I share that I am, so I was diagnosed in March 4th, 22. Here's the other thing. I went to my physical on January 6th, 22. It was right after the holidays. My doctor does all the physical and does my blood work and says, oh, your liver enzymes are really high, but it's after the holidays, so let's not worry about that. We'll check it in 3 to 6 months. And I look at where my liver levels were, and I was like, are you kidding me? That isn't holidays. There's something wrong. I want an ultrasound right now. I literally got an ultrasound that day. I then got a CAT scan, and then I got a PET scan, and then I had a biopsy, all within 2 weeks. And you know what? I had stage 4 stomach cancer. And the irony is, I had just had an endoscopy in the same area where the stomach cancer was 6 months prior, and there was nothing there. And so the fact is, it was extremely fast growing. And if I had waited the 3 to 6 months, it might have been too late for me. So this is where you have to advocate for yourself. You have to say, if your gut is telling you something, trust it, because that's the most honest voice you'll ever hear. Your intuition it saved my life multiple times, and it continues. That's your soul talking to you, and it is the most honest voice you'll ever hear. So it saved my life. And I am a huge advocate. I didn't have any of the diseases that were they're in my records, and I've tried to have them expunged, and they won't do it because of liabilities or whatever. But I didn't have any of those things. And back in the stroke days, they put me on Cytoxin, a chemotherapy that they don't even administer anymore. It's that lethal. So I trusted my gut after 5 treatments of that, and said, I don't think this is the right treatment path. Even in the face of a doctor's trying to be right, he had no humility. He just believed that in his diagnosis, and that I needed to follow that because he said he was smarter than me. And I was like, okay, you may be book smart, but I've been in my body 24/7 So I believe that that's on the job training, and I know my body better than you. So
That is
and
fantastic.
yeah. So I'd like to tell everybody I have had 5. I get PET scans every 2 months. This next one is actually going to be close to 4, but the last were every 2 months, and I've had 5. Um, the cancer was in my liver, was in my lymph nodes. So if you look at my PET scan, the first one, I look like a leper inside, spots everywhere, probably too many to count. And now five PET scans later, 5 of them have been perfectly clean. 5. And so I switched oncologists, and that was very difficult for me because I spent a lot of time in the cancer center in my area, and I used to go there and I wear different hats, and they're always blingy because I love sparkle. And like one I had was hope, and I couldn't see the hat, and I'd go get my labs, come back to the waiting room, and everyone would be like this. And my mom said, everyone seems so sad. And I'm like, well, what do you expect? But I stood up and I go, you see my hat? It says hope. This is for you. You get hope. You get hope. You get hope. And I went every 2 weeks. I had every 2 weeks, 6 hours. And then I'd go home with a pump for 3 days of more chemo for being pumped into my port. So I was there a lot. And I'd wear these different hats. I had one made Miracle in Progress. And I would say, you're a miracle, you're a miracle. And it would change. The whole room everyone would start talking to each other. And it just opened up, and took the ugliness of cancer away. And then I bring in toys, and I have bracelets I give out that like I can or don't give up in Morse code. So they're really fun. For me, my middle name's Fox, and I got a little fox bracelet that all the men, everybody wore it on their ankles or whatever, and they wear that, and that was creating energy they were wearing it until I got well. And this latest doctor, my latest oncologist, I was anaphylactic to the oxaliplatin. It put me, I almost died from it. I ended up in ER for because I couldn't breathe, and my temperature had shot up to 103, and I was pretty much that was so you guys probably know it. The treatment can kill you too. And so I was anaphylactic to the oxaliplatin, and then they put me on immunotherapy, and I ended up getting a reaction that attacked my muscles, my shoulders and my hips, so bad that I couldn't lift my head up even in bed. I had to be lifted, and I was in a wheelchair again, and it was called PMR. It's like a rheumatoid arthritis, but it's very specific to certain joints. So I had to go on prednisone I just got off it for a whole year. I've been off it for about 3 weeks. Yay. You have to do what you got to do, because I'm like, oh my God, do I have to go on prednisone? I really hate that stuff. But you have to do what you need to do to get through, but also realize a lot of these things can be temporary. And my goal, my rheumatologist is like, nobody wants to get off it once they're on it, because it resolves so many other pains issues. And I do suffer from regular pain from just stroke and wear and tear of the way I walk because of paralysis.
Can I pause you one second?
I can keep going.
I have a question that just came to my mind, and I've never asked this on this channel.
Oh, I love it first.
What is your outlook on death?
Wow. So I've experienced a lot of death around me, between my 2 brothers and my dad on Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I have enormous amount of faith, and I do believe my recovery is truly, and I truly believe it's solely the hand of God. And this is my third miracle. When I was diagnosed, my mother's very devout Catholic, and I said to her, "Do you think there's another miracle in my path?" And my mom, who feel is very, she's just a step below, the angels. She is an angel walking on earth, which we all are too, for each other. We're here to help each other. That's my belief, that we are here to help each other in all things. But I don't dwell on the death so much as the afterlife. And like, I believe, I have such an enormous amount of faith. Here's the deal. When I got my diagnosis, I very careful of how I am around my husband, because he absorbs my mood. So that also helps me when you think of it, not on terms of yourself, but in terms of the people around you. When you do that, it makes it easier to be positive, because you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for loved ones too. Although it's definitely healthy for yourself. So every night and every day, and then every time I was in my car, I would say, dissolve and disappear any disease, tumor, arthritis, inflammation in my body, and restore all cells to perfect health. In Jesus' name, amen. And I said it so much that it was like in my brain, it was a mantra. Oh, and here's the other thing I did different from stroke. I talked out loud to my body all the time, because your brain hears the instructions and will deliver it to your body. So I said my prayers out loud. I said all my positivity, all things. I had a massive tumor in my stomach. So there is nothing, because I said later to this new oncologist, should I have surgery to remove the dead tumor? And he said, it's dissolved, it's disappeared, just of the words that I use. So realize that your words that you say, or your thoughts, first let's start with how you think. How you think is your first form of communication, and your self-talk is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. Don't always say positive things. Negative is only going to create bad results. Because I have 65% of my brain is gone on this side. 65. If you look at my MRI, there's a big black hole. My neurologist told me it's 65%. I created new pathways. It's called neuroplasty. And with neuroplasty, your brain is like a big muscle. It's a big computer. And what you feed it is what your results are going to be. So when I stroked, I was paralyzed, and I was in a wheelchair. I had my mom bring me to the mall and look at, I said, just leave me here and come back in 2 hours. And I studied people walking, and then I would visualize it. And that's the other thing I would recommend, is visualize your body healed, visualize health. And I would love to share with you, Mark, I have a beautiful healthy cell. It looks like a piece of jewelry. And I use that image all the time, and I'll share it with you so that you can share with your audience. It's just by looking at that and using that in your brain and saying, all my cells are in perfect health. It helps. It's amazing what our minds can do for I always believe a healthy body can become sick with a sick mind. A healthy mind can heal a sick body, and I'm living proof of that.
Yes,
I'm
you
living
are.
proof. Yeah. And I feel so, if I can change one person and impact them every day, my prayer in the morning has always been, may I impact at least one person in a positive way, and may they impact another, and always make it going forward.
That is beautiful.
Yes,
Absolutely beautiful. I love that.
because that, what, that is purpose. That is purpose. And I talk about in my presentations about purpose and how we're all born with purpose, and everybody's purpose is different, but we're all connected, and my purpose might help your purpose. So I'm always about how do you create the more you do as a team, the more success you have. And by helping others, it doesn't diminish yourself. It actually makes you a leader. So it's so important. It's just so important about connecting and how we talk. Words have energy. Words can hurt forever. There's a saying out there. It says, let me see, be careful, taste your words before you spit them out. I mean, it's a real visual, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you're saying nasty words, there's a book out there called Hidden Messages in Water, and it's by a Japanese scientist who took purified water, and he said in 5 languages in monotone, horrible, mean words, froze it. Then he took polluted water and said kind, loving words in 5 languages in monotone, froze it. When he took the trays out, the polluted water was smooth as glass, and the water side never connected, it never crystallized, because. And so words do have energy, and our bodies are like 75 or 85% water. So we're absorbing those words. And so it's really important, the language we use and the language you use in our head, our self-talk.
I love all that, Julia. Thank you for sharing. Would you be willing to come back for a part 2 of this? Because
Oh,
there's so much more we need to
I
talk
could go
about.
on forever. I am ball, the bouncing ball.
I have one final question for you. And I always end up my interviews this way, is bringing the world together to make it better. How would you go about making the world a better place?
Well, I would like to say that it's not would. I'd like to say I am, because I feel I am making it a better place by the people I connect with. I go to the market, I smile, I hold doors, I see somebody with groceries, and they always say, you need more help than me. And I go, no, I don't, because I wear a brace and I have a cane. But I believe that it's not one big thing. It's all the little things that you do on a daily basis. And I truly, truly believe we are all angels on earth, and we may never know who we're helping by our actions or our words. So it's really not one big thing, Mark. I believe it's all the little things that add up. And I believe, Jesus Christ is in every person I meet, even if I don't care for their attitude or care for because I always say they must be going through something. Something made them this way. So one of my biggest, I have 2 things that are really, my biggest flaws are I'm impulsive and I'm impatient. And I have a lot of, I grapple with that regularly. And I believe that it's on God's time and not Julia's time. So I have to, I just believe that put the people that you need in front of me and what I need to do, and just trust. Yeah. Like, again, to make the world a better place is all just being kind to each other. And so, perspective. My perspective may be different than someone else's perspective. So for instance, if someone's looking at looking at a 6, and the person on the bottom is looking at a 9, both of them are right. So it's about exchanging lenses with another, even if you don't agree with them, and being a good listener, and showing that you're really care about that person as a person. Animals too.
I knew I was going to get a great answer for you, so I let you
That just came out. I don't know.
conclude the video. But thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your positivity with my audience. And I look forward to part 2, and please join us for that part 2. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And I let Julia close for me. I usually talk about all that, but it's so much better coming from you, Julia. So thank you so much. And thanks to all of you out there for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. We will see you next week. Thank you very much.